Behind me, a terrorist state, Iran, that is hell-bent on an Islamic revolution, not only to spread it through Iran and the Middle East, but to the streets of America. The final move beyond Iraq.
Monday, May 8, 2006. A sealed diplomatic pouch is delivered to President Bush's desk in the White House from the fanatical leader of Iran, President Ahmadinejad. This 18-page religious diatribe attempts to convert George Bush to Islam.
Referring to 9/11, he writes, "Those with insight can already hear the sounds of the shattering fall of the liberal democratic systems." This letter contains a personal threat to President Bush and threatens the United States. Ahmadinejad is following the teaching of his radical faith. First, before you attack an enemy, give them the opportunity to repent and convert. And second, give them a warning. Then, if they refuse to convert or surrender, attack with no mercy. A few days later, this was the image shown on Iranian television.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Delta Bravo, don't stop and attack.
vehicle passing off your left, just avoid them at left lane.
أنا يعني أتمنى لو بوش يموت بالنار.
Winning the war against terror isn't just about Iraq. It ultimately goes through Iran, the center of world Islamic terrorism. The war in the Middle East may ultimately be the battle for the soul of America. Today, we face an evil unlike any we have seen before. Vile words of twisted hatred spill from the Islamic extremists of Iran, who preach an apocalyptic jihad or holy war against the great Satan, America, and radically call for the purging of Israel from the face of the earth. Today, America must stand and face her greatest challenge, the challenge of our generation, the final move, beyond Iraq.
This is a religious extremism that we have never encountered. It's a culture of death.
Imagine a world in which Hitler had atomic bombs.
You were almost as screwdrivers turned away from creating nuclear fuel that can go boom, 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 the bomb.
They really believe they are implementing Allah's will in destroying the infidel.
This is a apocalyptic war, and it's a battle that will be fought to the death.
Hosting this special report is Dr. Mike Evans, noted journalist, New York Times best-selling author, and confidant for over 30 years to leaders in the Middle East.
Right now, radical Islamic terrorists on a mission from hell. They want to unleash a deadly new Holocaust against America and wipe out the nation of Israel. It's an evil racial bigotry that envisions the world without Jews and Christians. At the core of Islamic world terrorism are the radical leaders of Iran. The president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, is a radical zealot bent on the destruction of the West and the installation of a world Islamic system. Under his leadership, Iran is putting billions of oil dollars into world terrorism, building a network of hatred that is destabilizing the Middle East and the world. Yet shockingly, the Baker-Hamilton report on Iraq, in all of its wisdom, says this is a man we should negotiate with, and that we should reach out our hand to him as a partner in peace. Listen, Iran wants to wipe us out. They want to control Iraq, create anarchy in the Middle East, and destroy freedom at any cost. I've interviewed dozens of key world leaders who are extremely concerned about Iran.
Iran is a major, major threat to the United States. Iran, if it's not stopped, will get a nuclear bomb.
Iran is the most radical, extremist, religious religiously motivated group in that part of the world?
Well, I would not put anything past Iran as the world's largest supporter of terrorism.
Well, I think that Ahmadinejad is a greater threat than bin Laden at this point. Bin Laden at this point is a fugitive.
J.R. Martinez was a corporal in the U.S. Army. He was injured in Iraq driving a Humvee hit by an Iranian-made IED. J.R., what happened?
On the 5th of April 2003, I was escorted convoy through the city of Karbala. When we got to the city, we received from intelligence that it would not be safe for us to go through the city and that we had to go find a new way to get to our destination. As we proceeded to do that, I started driving about 100 yards and my front left tire hit a landmine. I've been burned over 40% of my body, which consisted over my head, my face, my arms, my hands, and lower extremities as well.
JR, what happens if we pull out of the war on terror?
If we pulled out right now, I think it would be a mistake because the biggest reason we're over there is because of terrorism that has come to us. 9/11 is a perfect example of that. And us, if we were to pull out, today or tomorrow, all it would do is just follow us back to the States.
JR, I want to thank you. You're a great American hero, and the price that you paid for our nation will not be forgotten.
Up to now, nuclear weapons have been in the hands of responsible regimes. You have one regime, one bizarre regime that apparently has them now in North Korea. But there aren't a billion North Koreans that people seek to inspire into a religious war.
We in the West are sleeping, and we need a wake-up call to understand that this threat is imminent.
Just think, 9/11 was the first time that the United States was attacked on its homeland since 1812. And how were we attacked? We were attacked by a group of people who lived in some, mountain ranges in Afghanistan, thousands upon thousands of miles away, and they were able to literally change the whole of life in America.
It reminds me again of what was going on in Nazi Germany in the early 1930s, when Americans were not concerned, and isolationist candidates were winning, and it was very hard for President Roosevelt to energize the American people, to get them concerned about what was going on in Europe at the time. And we better learn the lesson of having ignored Nazism.
Maybe they will be ready to sacrifice half of the Muslim world to destroy half of the West world. It's possible, because they're thinking in a different way. The different religion, the different mentality, and they are strong enough to convince their people that it's worth to sacrifice such and such million to achieve the control.
Ahmadinejad, at his recent anti-Holocaust conference, said about Israel, the Zionist regime will be wiped out soon. Leading the standing ovation of Iran was the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, David Duke. Do you believe Iran should be America's partner in peace? That's insanity. And here's more of the Baker Hamilton report. These articles of surrender would divide Jerusalem and give away Israel's Bible lands to buy peace. Land for peace? The liberals tried it with Hitler, and 61 million people died. When Ronald Reagan stood strong and put pressure on communism, we won the Cold War. It was Winston Churchill who said, the world lacked the democratic courage, the intellectual honesty, and the willingness to act in the 30s. If they had, 61 million people would not have died. You and I cannot be silent. We must speak up now.
We can stop the appeasement of terrorism the liberal left would pull us into, and we can stop it by acting right now. A grassroots movement of Americans concerned about the future of our nation has put this program on the air, and we invite you to be a founding member of this wonderful group of concerned friends with 2 simple actions you can take right now. First, sign the petition for a safe and secure America that's going to President Bush. And then, most importantly, you can put this television special, The Final Move, Beyond Iraq, on stations across the nation. Your tax-deductible investment will alert thousands of other God-fearing Americans and bring them into the fight against terrorism and support our brave troops. We're taking this nation back. So get the word out and also put your name on the historic petition for a strong and safe America that's being sent to President Bush. This urgent petition declares on behalf of the undersigned and patriotic Americans everywhere, we are against amnesty for the killers and murderers of our troops. Over 3,000 of our children have been killed, over 21,000 wounded. There must be justice. The terrorists don't get to go free. We are against Israel paying the price of appeasement by giving away their biblical lands, forcing them to divide Jerusalem and give away Judea, Samaria, and the Golan Heights to terrorist regimes. You can read the entire copy on the website, and I'll tell you more later, but please call now or go to the website. Your tax-deductible investment will alert thousands of other God-fearing Americans and bring them into the fight against terrorism and support our brave troops. When you give $30 or more in this fight against terrorism, you'll receive the best-selling book that launched this patriotic movement, The Final Move, Beyond Iraq, written by New York Times best-selling author Mike Evans. When you get this explosive book, you'll read the full, shocking revelations by the leaders and experts you've seen on this documentary, and many more. In this amazing expose, The Final Move Beyond Iraq, you'll discover dramatic details that global leaders are discussing behind closed doors. You'll see truth we couldn't put in this telecast. Stunning revelations from a former head of the CIA. Top intelligence operatives uncover Russia's secret nuclear conspiracy. Secrets from the Iraq war zone on Iran's complicity are finally brought to light. Benjamin Netanyahu and other intelligence experts reveal why America is on the brink of a wake-up call from hell and how it can be avoided. The Final Move Beyond Iraq is the book the liberal left does not want you to read. Legal experts have pored over the contents of this book to protect your right to read it. Intelligence experts have verified the contents. Stand up and fight against terror. Help get this powerful television special on stations across the nation. When you call right now and give $30 or more, your copy of this amazing book will be autographed by Dr. Evans and rush to you immediately. For the sake of our children and grandchildren, we will not surrender America to the blackmail of terrorism. Call. You can make a huge difference.
Call right now and join thousands of other God-fearing Americans in becoming part of the solution. Call now, or you can write to Mike Evans at this address. You can also go to the website for detailed information and special Israel reports. Take a stand for a strong America and support our troops.
Fueling the deadly Islamic revolution in Iraq and pushing it across the Middle East are the Iranian leaders' fanatical and strange religious beliefs.
Iran's President Ahmadinejad believes in the second coming of a mystical leader called the Mahdi, or the 12th Imam. The tradition of a small group of Muslims, they believe he fell down a well in Iran 1,000 years ago and will only return when the world is thrust into a deadly and bloody apocalyptic war. For the twisted splinter group of extremists who control Iran, the use of nuclear weapons would help accelerate the second coming by creating a firestorm of pain and blood.
The beliefs that surround their worldview have to do with working hard to get a lot of people killed as quickly as possible, so the cries of pain will summon the Mahdi.
This Mahdi will come back in a great apocalyptic war that will claim the lives of millions.
Against the brutal backdrop of Iranian-driven terrorism, the Baker-Hamilton Commission calls for amnesty for the terrorists, the same thugs who have killed 3,000 American troops and terribly injured 21,000 more. It says Israel should give away land to buy peace, including the dividing of Jerusalem. It allows Iran to continue its nuclear program under United Nations supervision, invites Iran to become a member of the World Trade Organization without sanctions. Syria and Iran would become full partners in peace with no penalties. Now a new peace summit is proposed by James Baker, with every nation attending except Israel. If we listen to the weak cries of the appeasers in the face of great adversity, America will have lost her moral courage.
They seized our hostages in '79, and we had an ineffective rescue operation, and then we tied yellow ribbons around trees. In '83, through Hezbollah, they blew up our embassy and our Marine barracks in Lebanon, and we left. The '80s, for various Iranian and other terrorist attacks, we basically sent lawyers. We treated it as a matter of law enforcement. We prosecuted a few of them. And in '93, Saddam tries to kill former President Bush in Kuwait with a bomb, and President Clinton launches 24 cruise missiles against an Iraqi intelligence headquarters in the middle of the night so it would be empty, and has the Secretary of State explain that we did it in the middle of the night so there wouldn't be anyone there. You know, I don't know what we had against Iraqi cleaning women and night watchmen, but I would not have called that an effective response.
This challenge, which I believe is the test of our time, is one the West cannot afford to fail. The radical Iranian regime has declared the United States its enemy. The president believes it is his religious duty and his destiny to lead his country in a violent conflict against the infidel.
You and I cannot sit by and let misguided politicians and the liberal press force our nation into a downward spiral of appeasement and compromise. World leaders tried to appease Hitler and millions died as a result. But right now, we can stop the madness. A grassroots movement of Americans concerned about the future of our country has put this program on the air, and we invite you to be a founding member of this wonderful group of concerned friends with 2 simple actions you can take right now. First, sign the petition for a safe and secure America that's going to President Bush. And then, most importantly, you can help put this television special, The Final Move, Beyond Iraq, on stations across the nation. We're taking this nation back, so get the word out, and also put your name on the historic petition for a strong and safe America that's being sent to President Bush. This urgent petition declares, on behalf of the undersigned and patriotic Americans everywhere, we are against amnesty for the killers and murderers of our troops. Over 3,000 of our children have been killed. Over 21,000 wounded. There must be justice. The terrorists don't get to go free. We are against Israel paying the price of appeasement by giving away their biblical lands, forcing them to divide Jerusalem and give away Judea, Samaria, and the Golan Heights to terrorist regimes. When you give $30 or more in this fight against terrorism, you'll receive the best-selling book that launched this patriotic movement, The Final Move, Beyond Iraq, written by New York Times best-selling author Mike Evans. When you get this explosive book, you'll read the full, shocking revelations by the leaders and experts you've seen on this documentary, and many more. Benjamin Netanyahu and other intelligence experts reveal why America is on the brink of a wake-up call from hell and how it can be avoided. Stand up and fight against terror. Help get this powerful television special on stations across the nation. When you call right now and give $30 or more, your copy of this amazing book will be autographed by Dr. Evans and rush to you immediately. Please, for the sake of our children and grandchildren, we must not surrender America to the blackmail of terrorism. The liberals believe they have the heart of our nation. Well, they don't, and we need to speak up right now. Call. You can make a huge difference.
Call right now and join thousands of other God-fearing Americans in becoming part of the solution. Call now, or you can write to Mike Evans at this address. You can also go to the website for detailed information and special Israel reports. Take a stand for a strong America and support our troops.
At the heart of the conflict in the Middle East is racial bigotry on a global scale, an insane, fanatical hatred of the Jews and Christians. The Islamic terrorists speak openly of their evil desire to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. The leaders of Iran want to start the second Holocaust, and this time they want to include you. If they can kill the great Satan, that's the United States, then they can get to the little Satan, the hated Jewish nation of Israel. It's the rebirth of Nazism in all its foul iniquity. I was in Israel as thousands of Iranian Katyusha rockets slammed down on innocent women, children, and families. It's a battle for freedom. They fight every day. When Iran gives the terrorists money, weapons, and training, innocent people die.
We have never been through such a period, and you see the results. One of the missiles hit this building, and the problem is not the missile which hits the buildings. The problem is
what you
small,
showed me, huh?
Yeah, I showed you small bullets. It's being scattered around, and whoever stands in this vicinity doesn't stand a chance. Nasrallah, if you watch his interviews over the television, he admits openly that he is inspired by the Ayatollahs in Iran, and if the world community, especially the Western community, won't go on a move and adopt very rigid and firm actions against Iran and its followers, God forbid what's going to happen.
They've got about 500 centrifuges that are spinning around as we speak, enriching uranium gas. And once you've mastered the technology of enrichment, you're almost a screwdriver's turn away from creating nuclear fuel that can go boom, 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 the bomb.
You can bring a dirty bomb to any city. It might be brought by ship, by airplane, or by truck. It might be Tel Aviv, it might be Berlin, it might be New York. And of course, to cause devastating collateral damage, to kill as many civilians as they can.
They have scoped 28, 29 places in the United States, the Iranians, and they've figured out what they're going to destroy and how they're going to destroy it already. It's just a matter of time when they want to commence this plan, smuggle some dirty nuke to those areas, a few dirty nukes, and set them on charge and blow them up. They are planning to destroy America.
The unbelievable and shocking nightmare of nuclear terrorism could become reality if Iran's unstable leaders get nuclear bombs. These suicide bombers have just graduated from an Iranian-sponsored school of terrorism. They carry dynamite now, but soon they could carry nuclear devices. Across porous U.S. borders, or hidden in one of the 14 million containers that arrive in unprotected U.S. ports every year, even a small nuclear device could kill over 1 million people in a crowded area like Los Angeles, Houston, or Chicago. We are facing an enemy who denies the terrible Nazi Holocaust even happened. And they want to start their own Holocaust. They joke, "We hate Hitler because he didn't finish the job." Over 1 million children under the age of 12 were exterminated in the Nazi Holocaust. Over 6 million Jews were slaughtered. We must stand with the Jewish people and along with them announce to the terrorists, never again, never again.
The terrorists of Iran want to start a new Holocaust, and this time, they not only want to kill all the Jews, they want to kill you too. The president has heard from liberal politicians. The president has heard from the leftist anti-war movement. He has heard from the secular media and the highly funded Arab lobbyists. The only voice the president has not heard from is yours. Today I invite you to respond, to get involved, to speak up for freedom, to stand against the liberals who would compromise and negotiate away our traditional family values. And I invite you to pray and sign the petition. along with millions of other God-fearing Americans in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14. Pray for America and for the Middle East. The Bible says, I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. Like Oskar Schindler many years ago, who rescued hundreds of men and women, Jews, their families from the Holocaust. I urge you in that same spirit of freedom to help stop a coming Holocaust now.
I'm Rosemary Schindler, niece of Oskar Schindler, and this man saved the life of over 1,200 Jews, and because he was a testimony to them of giving all that he had to spare their lives, to bring them through the most trying time, the most disastrous time the Jewish people have ever experienced. And we come together as Bible-believing Jews and Christians. We stand in solidarity. We stand in unity with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Over 20% of Iraq is a stable democracy without one terrorist attack in over a year and a half. And not one American soldier has ever died there. The liberals don't want you to know these facts. We have proven friends and allies in northern Iraq, the Kurds. On my recent trip, I met with the vice president, military leaders, and intelligence officers. They will fight the war from the north to the south, putting their lives, not U.S. troops, in harm's way. They will close Iran's open border. In spite of their amazing success, the Kurds are receiving no military help. They're using old Saddam Hussein weapons. They receive no training from the U.S. Listen, no one from the Iraq Study Group ever went to Kurdistan, and James Baker wants them to fly the Saddam Hussein flag over their land. The same flag that flew over the graves of 200,000 Kurds as Saddam Hussein waged genocide against these brave people with weapons of mass destruction. The liberals are asking the Iranian-funded Baghdad Muslim mafia to protect our troops and bring stability. But there will be no peace as long as we continue to appease the enemy. This is a liberal cover-up of Watergate proportions. We are sitting on a solution that could save hundreds and thousands of American lives. The Kurds only need 3 things from us: arms and technical support, a U.S. manned base, and a green light to stop the terrorists. These are our strongest allies in Iraq. They've shed their blood in support of our nation and in support of our war on terror. We must not miss this opportunity to strike a blow against terrorism and protect our troops held back by misguided liberal politicians. Call now. The truth can set us free. It's in the petition to the president. Do something great. Do it now.